Hi, I'm Pastor Sarah, and I wanted to share with you some updates today about our coming transition. Many of you know that several months ago it was announced that effective July 1, I would be beginning a new appointment at Pasadena United Methodist Church. This decision that for me to get a new appointment was part of the product of discussions that we'd been having for many months at Calvary about the future of the congregation, and a decision that this was an appropriate time for the church to move from a full-time pastoral appointment to a part-time one. As I prepare to make that transition, we also had all of this coronavirus stay-at-home orders and changes to how we worship, and so it has been a very strange time. As we've been finalizing details, part of our decision making about when I would have my last Sunday and what my final weeks and Sundays at Calvary would look like had been awaiting updates from state and local authorities about what they were asking of churches, and from our annual conference about what guidance would look like for how worship would need to look in the month of June. After listening to all of the most recent updates, we have decided that my final Sunday will be June 14th. This was the Sunday that the bishop asked pastors who are leaving to have as their final Sunday, but we had held out hope that perhaps there might be a way to have some in-person gatherings maybe later in June. That does not, however, look like that will be the case. We will continue to worship online until that time, and that's not at all how I hope to end my time at Calvary. But I know that this is a congregation, that you are a congregation who sincerely love each other and love the community. You have stepped up in amazing ways during this time to support the ministry that we have been doing, to care for each other, and to continue to look for ways to serve in the community. So I'm here by this shelter that our daughter Anna has been building because I'm reminded of John chapter 1, when in speaking of Jesus, the gospel writer says, "The Word became flesh and dwelt among us." Some translations say the Word became flesh and tented among us. Scripture talks a great deal about people who wander through the wilderness, and if you read through the Old Testament, you hear about tents being built. In fact, the very first tabernacle was a tent. Before there was a temple in Jerusalem, there was a tent. It was a very fancy and intricate tent, but it was a tent. The idea was that God would go with God's people. So we are a people, especially as United Methodists, who live in the tradition of traveling and of new seasons. So in many ways, serving as your pastor has been a time of setting up a tent, knowing that we would be in ministry together for a time, and then a new season would come, and I would pack up my tent and move on, and you would receive, as you will, a new pastor. It has been a great blessing to be your pastor, and I have been honored and proud to serve as your pastor for these 2 years. As we look ahead at the coming weeks, as we prepare for June 14th, which will be my final Sunday leading worship, I invite you to celebrate, I hope, as I will, all of the ways that we have been in ministry together. I'll be reaching out, and please feel free to reach out to me. I will remain your pastor through the end of June, but we'll have our lay speakers who will be leading worship on our final 2 Sundays on June 21st and June 28th. If you have any questions about our transition, you can let me know. But I do want to share with you that as we head into this transition, that at the end of June, as I finish my time at Calvary, effective June 1st, as I mentioned, I'll be serving as the pastor of Pasadena United Methodist Church. I will cease all responsibilities and all duties as your pastor. It's important that we say goodbye and that I end those duties. I'll stop reaching out to you for pastoral care, and I won't be available to offer care and to lead any activities. If invited to take part in any services, especially for the first year, I will decline, except this year, of course. The conference is certainly continuing to leave open the door for pastors who are transitioning to perhaps come back if there becomes a time that it is safe to do so, for something that feels more like a normal farewell. I'll be doing the same at the church that I'm going to allow for the pastor who is leaving there to say goodbye to that congregation. We're all learning in new ways. As I head into this transition, some of you are my friends on Facebook, and you're certainly welcome to continue to be my friends. Many pastors handle social media in different ways. The way that I choose to handle social media is if folks want to continue to be my friends, I'm happy to let them do so. I won't remove you as my friend, but I won't feel hurt if you decide that you don't want to be my friend anymore. I'll be talking about things that are happening at the new church And even as I prepare to go to Pasadena, there'll be more of that on my page. And if that's uncomfortable for any reason, please feel free to unfriend me, or you can hide me on your wall. What I generally do when I leave a church is, though I remain friends with those who I'm friends with at the church, I generally hide their posts on my wall so that I don't see them. I won't see them so that I can interact. And that allows me to have space, not only on my Facebook wall, but also in my mind and in my heart for my new congregation. Because just as you need to make space for your new pastor, I need to make space for my new congregation. As we move into this transition, though we have done pastoral transitions before, it's only been 2 years since Pastor Carter retired. This is a very different transition than any of us have done. And so perhaps we'll be learning along the way about what it means to have this sort of transition in a time of social and physical distancing. But if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to let me know. You can also reach out to Mary Lee Quaid, who is the chair of our Staff Parish Relations Committee, and they'll be sharing news with you soon, I suspect, about who the new pastor will be at Calvary. I thank you for your prayers for me throughout these years and during this time of transition. I know that you are keeping your new pastor, who you will meet soon, in your prayers, and I give thanks to God for this time of tenting amongst you. I give thanks for a God who is with us in all of the journeys of our lives, those that last for a long time and those that are a bit more passing, and I know that God has yet great things in store for Calvary. Thank you so much for the honor of being your pastor over these past couple of years, for the welcome and love that you have poured out on me and on my family. I look forward to continuing to hear about all that God is doing in and through the ministry at Calvary, and I know that the God who has been faithful to this point will be faithful in the time ahead. Thank you.